Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be getting stuck into a full service on this Clio 172 Cup. These are great cars, but you need to keep on top of the maintenance. So today I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step guide to servicing. Whether you've owned one of these cars for a while or you've just gotten one, hopefully you'll be able to take something away from this guide that will help you with the maintenance on your car. Also, a lot of the things for this car will be fairly similar on others. So first up is going to be the engine oil and filter. But to change the engine oil, we want to run the engine for a bit to get the oil warmed up. This will help the oil drain out to get the most of the old oil out. So let's hope it starts. It's been parked up for, well now April. Good 6 months. I've kept the battery on charge, but we'll see if it's going to start so we can get the oil warmed up. Success! It runs. So let that warm up for a bit. So that's it, pretty much up to temperature there now. It's been about 10 minutes or so, so that should be enough for the oil to be up to temperature now. Coolant bang up to working temperature, so the oil should be there or thereabouts for it to drain it. Right guys, I'm just going to jack this side of the car up just to give us a little bit more space so I can get the drain bung out, that sort of thing. Doesn't need to go much, it'll just help with it to get the drain bung out with the drain tin underneath it. The drain bung is a 8mm square, so you need something like this and a 19mm socket and a drain tin like this. I wouldn't recommend buying one like this because this is horrible to get the oil tipped back out of it due to the design of the little spout, but hey ho, it does the job. Oh, we also need a bit of rag because there's going to be yucky dirty engine oil. I tell you what, I'll do a little close-up for you now. So this is what we are looking at underneath the car, and your little 8mm square goes into the drain bung there and then screw it out. I can't do that and hold the camera at the same time, but that's where we need to be. Right, you should be able to see a bit better there now. So we'll get that 8mm square into there, and hopefully this isn't going to be silly tight. No. Right. So now, oh God. Right, so now the hard part. Hopefully we'll get this out without getting oil everywhere. You just want to keep screwing it till you find that it kind of feels like it's going to come out like that. So yep, that's it, free, and then get a hold of it all quickly out. And that's what the rag's for. Right, we'll let that drain, but I think we will also get the oil filter off now. So now on the oil filter, so that is it down there. It's not the worst thing to get at, but it's not the easiest thing either. I'll try and set the camera up so you can see it, and I'll show you the little filter strap that I've got to get that off. Right, that's about the best I can do with the camera. So we want also actually make sure our drain tin underneath is going to catch any oil that comes down from the oil filter here. So I'll just see if I can do it from this side. Slowly, but it is coming. Right, that is screwing off. And this is the filter tool I've just used. And that's the oil coming out. I hope it's hitting the bucket. And there is our filter off. And we'll let that drain for 15 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes. So that'll get all of the old oil out. There's the old oil filter out. I'll just leave it on there for you to drain out. And you can see the oil running down the front of the sump there, which is obviously ran down from further up where the oil filter was. So we'll just let all that drain. Oh, one other thing, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just take the oil filter cap off. That'll just aid getting the oil out. Right, time for tea. Almost forgot to say there, guys. Obviously, we've got the side of the car jacked up a little bit, so we're just going to lower that back down, and that will make sure we get all of the oil out of the sump. So there's still clearance from the sump to the drain tin. But right, tea. Right, so there's obviously still a little bit of oil dripping out there since I've jacked it back up to get in. So we'll just give that a few more minutes until the oil stops dripping out. Right, that is pretty much there. We're down to a very, very slow drip now. So we'll put our new bung in. And we'll give that a nip up. Don't need to go silly tight, but you want it tight enough so the thing doesn't come out. That'll do. Right, I'll leave the drain tin there. Now, if you've got some, get some brake cleaner on and just give this a bit of a spray down just to rinse some of the oil off. Also gonna spray it down under where the oil filter was and just let that run down to the bottom. Just like so. Let that drip for a bit. And then we'll get a rag and just give it a bit of a clean off. And then that is we done down here. And now I'll show you why this type of drain tin is not one that I would recommend. We've got nearly 6 litres out of this car, and the little spout on here is rubbish. I mean, can you imagine how long this is going to take to get this out? Which you obviously don't want to watch that. Right, so that is drain bung in. So we now need to put our new filter on. So we are going to get some clean engine oil. And we're just going to put a bit on the rubber seal so that's lubricated, and then we need to wangle the new filter into its position, which isn't too bad. That's it, screwed on. So I always go hand tight with them, and then I like to give them just a little tiny little nip with the filter tool. Doesn't need very much, but just a little bit. Right, lipstick out. Give that a wipe. Also from OP Oils, they give you these little, it's like a little paper funnel, which which is handy if you haven't got a funnel. And a bit of paper as well, a bit of tissue paper. So you fold that out, stick that in there. From memory, these take about 5.5 litres. So what I'll probably do is, I've got 6, I'll probably put the 5 in, check what the level is, and then we'll probably start it up, it'll get pumped around, and then we'll check the level properly. So when filling, you don't want to fill too fast, just nice and steady. And that is the first 5 litres in. So we will dip the oil now and just make sure that it's on the dipstick. Just put that in the bottle. Not the best to get at the dipstick tubes on these. Right. Yep, that's just about on the full mark. So that's fine. I'll just leave that. So put the lid back on there. And basically we're going to start the car, make sure the oil pressure light goes out, run it for 30 seconds or so. So that's the oil pressure light going straight out. Let that run for a few more seconds. And then that'll do. Now, just gonna let that settle for a minute, and then we can make sure we've got enough oil in. Because obviously with everything being drained out, you want to give it a bit of time, start it up, let everything get circulated, and then set your level properly after that, because it's got to fill the oil filter, pump the oil around, but I suppose it's mainly the filter probably it's filling. So give that a minute or two, and then we'll take a few measurements and see how much more oil we need to put in. Don't know if you'll be able to see that on the camera, but it's about 3/4, about 3/4 up from bottom mark to top mark. It's about 3/4 of the way there. So we do need a little bit more oil, which is hence why you get 6 litres. So I've probably got another one of these single litre ones somewhere, probably from the last time I changed the oil, but hey ho, we'll just use this one. So I'll probably put, I don't know, it's a litre, I'll probably put 300 ml in, something like that, and then we'll dip it again. Again, just fill it nice and slow. That's about 300. Obviously by the time we've put the lid back on, put it down, my dipstick cleaned, and get it poked back all the way down here into the dipstick tube. Right, up back out. Well, I do say, but that is bang on. Now we'll just wipe, and we'll just check it again. So I like to check things more than once. Still the same. I think we'll just do it once more for good luck. looking like I'm getting that in and out though. Yep, that is bang on the top mark. Don't forget to put a cap back in. And that rounds up the engine oil and filter change on this Clio 172 Cup. So next thing we're going to do is the gearbox oil. Now we're going to do that on this car. Just for a little bit of history, this car was parked up for 8 years. Prior to that, had gearbox work done on it, it's had fresh oil in there. So the gearbox oil on it is probably easily 10 years old. So it was ran last year with its original gearbox oil in, but we're going to change it now. So onto the gearbox. Right, I'm just going to show you now where the drain is, the gearbox. So that there in the middle is the drain, which is actually an 8mm square, the same as the engine drain bung. So I've got the tool for that. And then up here, so that little black plastic bung, I suppose, it just screws out by hand. That might be a little bit tight, but that screws out, and that is your filler. Now I think we're going to have to come up with, I have done this before, but I cannot remember how I did it, because that's not the easiest place to pour oil into, is it? Right, well, we'll get the oil draining first, and then we shall work on how we're going to fill it. But I'll get the filler out, because I always want to make sure we can get the filler out before we get the oil out. Otherwise, you'd end up in a bit of a predicament there with the oil out and not being able to get it back in. Also, ideally, you would want to take the car for a drive first to get the gearbox oil warmed, but as the car isn't taxed yet, I can't do that. So what we'll probably end up doing is just letting it drain, and letting it drain for longer than usual. Right, so that is the oil draining out. And now, as you can see, I am slightly worried now that I might not have enough oil to go back in. But anyway, we shall crack on. So I need to just try now and figure out how I'm going to fill it back up. So I'll figure that out while that's draining. So this is what I've come up with to fill the gearbox. So I've got a pipe fitting, a bit of rubber pipe, and then some of this stuff that I found all these bits floating around my garage. But that'll fit into the gearbox. The plan is to push that in, have this pipe coming up out the top somewhere, and I can put a little funnel on the end of there. Should do the job. So this is what the drain bung and the level bung look like when they're out. Obviously you're going to put this back in with a new copper washer for it there. So we'll get that stuck back in now. Right, that is the level bung back in. Just get what 8mm square. And give that a little nip up. Right, now we'll get the filler in. So we've got a bit of pipe here to fill the gearbox. I'll drop the filler bung. So I'll show you underneath. So see it there into the gearbox. Right, so this is the gearbox oil, but I've only got 1 litre. And I need about 3. So this is what happens when you order things late at night for cars. But anyway, we'll get this put in and see if this is going to work. I mean, obviously they give you a nice little bottle with a pointy end on, but that's not really going to help when it needs to go down there. So we'll try do the proper funnel, but I'll just, if I wedge that in there, hold it, and pour this in, and we'll see how we'll get on with our contraption here. but we're inevitably going to have to go and get some more gearbox oil, because I need another 2 of these. But it's not the end of the world. Get up. I do just hope it's not pouring out at the bottom, because I can't really pour it in and see at the same time. So this type of, you're filling the level in the gearbox up to the level bung. So basically we want to put enough oil in till it's up to the level of the level bung, which I think is going to be about 3 litres, maybe a little bit more, which typically these come in litres. So do I get 4 litres, or do I just put 3 in, because there's pretty much 3 come out? We'll see. Well, that's that empty. Right, so we're back with some more gearbox oil, but that was actually working alright using this, so we shall go again. Right, we'll have a look down the bottom and see if that's coming out the level bung yet. Right, I'm not sure well you can see that, but there's where bit of pipe sticking in. It doesn't, oh actually there's a little drip just coming down there, look, see. Right, I think what we'll do is I'll put a touch more in, and then I'll pull the pipe out and we'll just let it settle at its level. Right, so I've put a little bit more in, probably another 200 ml, so I'm just gonna, I can do this and hold the camera, but I'm trying to use the camera to see what I'm doing. Right, so that's pipe out there. Oh, it's pouring out. Let's pull this out the way. So as you can see there, that is running out of the level bung. So I think 3 litres is probably going to be about right. I'm just obviously going to let that run out a little bit before I put the bung back in, just so the level comes back down to where it needs to be. Right, so that's the drain bung back in. So we are just going to grab a bit of brake cleaner and give the oil a bit of a rinse off. I've just jacked the car up so I can get back into this, but just give that a little squirt with brake cleaner just to clean the oil off. And give that a bit of a clean off. And then that is us done with the gearbox oil. Right, so now we are going to move on to the air filter. Now you need 7mm or a screwdriver to undo this Jubilee clip, just so we can get that. Is it going to be easy taking that off there? Yeah, we'll see. We'll whip it off there first. And see what we're like. So once that's off there, just give that a little push off. Now these screws that hold the airbox on, which I'll just lean you in for a little look. So these screws that hold the airbox on, they are a T30 Torx bit. So I'll get these out. And we'll have a look at the air filter. It's not what you want to hear. And yes, I remember. So we're not going to be replacing this, but we will give it a bit of a clean, because this was new just last year, I think, and it is a cleanable element, so we'll give that a wash out. So just want to show you there's a bit of muck in the bottom of the air filter, so, well, air filter box, well, so I'm just going to get the hoover and get that sucked out. So to clean this filter, I've basically just put some, this is just general purpose kind of cleaner, degreaser stuff. I'm just going to work that in. I knocked the rough of the muck off it just into the bin first, and I've just got some warm soapy water here. So I've just sprayed that on, just kind of work it in a little bit. If it was just a normal filter, normal car air filter, you would just chuck it in the bin and fit a new one. But these ones are cleanable. You can get proper filter cleaning kits and maintenance kits, but just for this, I think I'm just going to give it a bit of a clean, because it hasn't actually been in that long. So we're just going to work that in. Just soapy water. Right, we'll go and give that a rinse off with some, not soapy water, just some clean water. Right, so just gonna give that a rinse off with some fresh water. Just squeeze as much water out as we can, and then we'll have to let that air dry completely before it goes back in. Right, so now this is dried out and is nice and clean. It's been drying for the last few hours, to be fair, in front of the heater, so nice and clean anyway. So we're going to pop that back in now. Put that back in there like so, and then we'll get the lid. It's all nice and clean inside there. We'll try and get this wiggled back in somehow. Again, a screwdriver or a 7mm socket, just to nip this Jubilee clip back up. And that is done. There's a couple of other little things to mention when we are here. So this one here is the coolant, so it's got a minimum and a maximum on. This was changed, the coolant was changed last year, so this will be absolutely fine. You can visually see it's bang on the maximum, so that is great. And this one over here is the power steering. Again, it has a minimum and maximum on it. Now, I haven't got any new power steering fluid. It's probably something we should do at some point, but for today it'll be fine. Because again, that was done, cannot remember, but I'm not too panicked about that. We should maybe do that in a future video. And screen washers up here, so always keep that topped up. And other than that, I think that is about it. So just want to have a quick chat about spark plugs. So I'm not going to be changing them because there were new ones were put in last year. But to change the spark plugs, you need to take off the inlet manifold, which should really replace the gasket that's under here if you're going to take that off. But basically, there's these bolts here. You take the connector off to the airbox, a few other little bits and pieces, a few little connectors. I think, yeah, the coil pack needs to come out because it's attached to the inlet manifold, a couple of other little connectors, and then when you've got that off, they're fairly easy enough to see. I'll stick a picture on the screen about now, I think I've got a photograph of when I did them last year. But basically, once you've got the inlet manifold off, take the HT leads off the spark plug socket, screw them out, fit new ones, and obviously then the reversal of what you've done to take it apart. But you should do them every I'll probably do them every 2-3 years. That's probably a bit over the top, but that's what I would do anyway, especially with this car. Keep it right. Guys, we're going to call that an end to part 1, as I've started editing the video and it is just getting way too long. So we'll call that an end to part 1. We've covered the engine oil and filter, the gearbox oil, other fluid levels on the engine, the air filter, and had a chat about spark plugs. So in episode 2, we are going to cover alternator belt replacement, changing the brake fluid, servicing the brakes, having a check of the suspension, and having a chat about the cabin air filter and fuel filter. So if you've liked this video, give it a like and would love to see you subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in part 2.